will say this though before we get started that uh do you remember like one of the jobbers with like the offspring tattoo that like Braun Strowman beat up weeks ago on Raw?
I haven't watched him forever.
Okay. Well, there was this dude, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago on Raw that was just fed to Braun Strowman. And he had like this large offspring tattoo on like his shoulder. And
Like
this
the
dude,
band The Offspring?
yeah, the band The Offspring.
Okay,
And this
that's
this guy
random.
has like almost no chin. And he's like very like flabby almost, like skinny fat, if you will.
Huh.
And this dude I think is in his like 40s. And then he just like, oh god, he just like absolutely destroyed. But then just this past week, actually on Tuesday, uh, AJ Styles needed to find a partner, and he couldn't find a partner. And if he couldn't find a partner, Daniel Bryan was going to appoint him a tag team partner. Guess who showed up? That
Flabby Man?
same jobber. That same jobber. And it was in Philadelphia, SmackDown was, and he got a huge pop. He got a huge pop because people instantly recognized him. And it was just, oh. So it turns out this dude's name is James Ellsworth, and he is a promoter of a wrestling organization. I think it's Adrenaline Wrestling, something
Hmm.
like that. But he's been doing it for 6 years. He's been wrestling for 14 years, and he's been able to turn a profit in the past 3 years. So good on him.
Okay, that is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And AJ Styles is in the ring, and then it's like, and his tag team partner, and then you could hear the whole crowd just like going, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's James," and then it's just like James Ellsworth. He doesn't get his own entrance music for fuck's sake, obviously, because he's a jobber. But I was hoping like they would have like some Offspring deals, like, oh god, please let him come out to the Offspring. But he just like comes out and he's like, all right, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight. And his catchphrase is, any man with two hands has a fighting chance. That's his catchphrase. But like he was on it. He was on his way to the ring. He was on his way to the ring, and he just gets attacked by the Miz from behind. Gets a skull crushing finale on the Connor's Cure logo, and it's just, oh, this dude. This dude is such a jobber. It's great.
Wow. So that's pretty crazy. Now I did watch the pay per view, but no, I haven't watched any of
Backlash.
that. Yeah,
Backlash was pretty damn good, except for one match.
even though it's not a pay per view, I don't know why they call it that.
Well, you have to pay to view it on the network.
No, you have to subscribe.
What do you do to subscribe? You pay money. That is a pay per view.
No, pay per view is the original idea that you would pay to view
No,
it that one time during a
no.
night.
You can't see it for free on the network unless like you're a new subscriber, then yes, then you are correct, but you have to pay money to view the network. And
Yeah.
that in itself, a subscription is a pay-per-view service. HBO is a pay-per-view service in and of itself. You have to
No, it's
subscribe.
not. It's a subscription service. You don't pay individually to see the individual things. That's
No,
not how
but
that
it's still a
works.
pay-per-view.
No, not per view. That's the thing you're getting wrong. Pay per view suggests that every single time you view something, you have to pay for it, which is what traditional pay per view does right now.
Yes,
You
for
can
one
order pay per
event, but
view.
you have to pay money. You don't fucking like pay gas to subscribe to HBO. You don't like give a arm to like subscribe to HBO or the WWE network. You have to pay cash. You have to
Right, but
give them money.
that's not the pay per view format. And
That
they don't.
is technically a pay-per-view.
Technically, you pay to view it, but that's not
Yes.
what the pay
So
per
I win.
view format is.
That is a pay per viewing of the channel.
No, we're going to disagree because that's not correct.
That is correct. You pay per
No,
view.
no, we're going to disagree because
Come
that's not correct.
on. No way.
No, we're going to disagree because that's
Are
not correct.
no.
I'm going to keep saying that.
It's 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 just what
No,
it
we're going to
is though.
disagree because it's not correct.
Whatever. Whatever. Oh my goodness. So I'm right, he's wrong, and this is Super Reset Brothers.
No, we're gonna disagree because that's not correct.
No, you keep saying that, but you know I'm right.
No,
You
I
know
don't. I actually work in the TV industry, and I know what pay-per-view is.
I know what
I
pay-per-view
don't
is.
care
Well, like,
what WWE says because they don't get to rewrite the industry.
oh,
fuck
don't
them.
they? Oh, don't they?
No, they've actually followed other people who have done exactly what they're doing now. They're not special.
But they were also a major provider for those single pay-per-views. That's why they got so antsy in the pantsy. It's like, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, in terms of that, it's because they have
Is
these different
answer me
things.
this answer me this question. Is WWE or is WWE not a major provider for pay-per-views for DirecTV and Dish and cable
No.
companies?
No, we dropped them
Well, were they before?
until they chose not to be.
So that's a yes.
I suppose so.
Okay. There we go.
The big provider for pay-per-view is UFC. That's the big one.
Yes. But what happens if they start a subscription service?
They already have one.
Do they?
Yes, it's UFC Fight Pass.
So that also provides for the pay-per-views.
No.
Okay, well, what happens if they take the pay-per-view to the Fight Pass?
They won't because they're actually smart. They actually make money with their pay-per-views. And they actually go after people who steal them and try to rebroadcast. See, the problem with WWE is they just kind of sat on it and was like, oh, nobody's wanting to buy it. They want to steal it because it wasn't good in the first place.
Right.
And they gave up because their sales revenue was starting to drop. You can go look at it if you want to because it's true. Mm-hmm. And then they started passing around the idea of a service similar to HBO and started going to different providers. Everybody told them to go pound sand because it was a terrible idea. So then the network was the only other option they had available. That or don't do it. The network was created because everyone told them no.
I don't know about that.
I mean, that's the report. They had the idea of something similar to HBO, and they were like, you don't have enough content to produce that many channels. So, no.
Oh, are you talking about for like what on TV?
Yeah, they
Oh,
wanted to turn it into a
obviously.
TV subscription service.
Obviously.
Every
Obviously.
provider out there turned
So they
them
turned to
down.
like a Netflix kind of program and it's worked out for them.
Well, it's worked out for them. I'm not going to say that it hasn't, but they're not the first.
No, they're
The
not the
WWE
first. I never said
Network-
that.
That was created out of desperation.
Okay.
Desperation because nobody else would take what they were selling.
Right.
And their pay-per-view revenue
It's
was
much
dropping.
cheaper for them to put. Well, it's not much cheaper for them. It's more cheaper for the consumer to like go $10 a month and just like watch these pay-per-views.
Right. I mean, that's their kind of like a hook, line, sinker, but the
As opposed to
majority
like
of it,
charging $50 a month, $60 a month for like
yeah.
a mediocre pay-per-view.
I mean, the main thing that they're wanting people to check out is their vault, which is why they send an email every friggin' week telling me what new stuff they put in their vault.
Right, because that vault is huge. Huge. They have every Nitro on there now. They're going to get every Raw on there. I would think sans 2007 on the network, and they're probably going to have every SmackDown on there.
Right.
That's a huge library. It's a very big library. Plus all the fucking pay-per-views. All of them. Oh my god. But, and there's also some original shows on there, which may
Yeah.
or may not be good, depending on the show. But,
Well, I mean, they had that model for a while where you could go on their website and you could pay to watch individual things, but that model bombed. That model went nowhere fast.
what, the on-demand? Yeah.
Yeah, it went nowhere
Yeah.
fast because it's the idea to pay like $2 to watch like this old thing that they have is just that's true pay-per-view. You pay at that point to see that one individual thing, and it was garbage, and it failed.
Somebody says the wrestling has been garbage since 2000. I disagree on that.
I'd say it was garbage around 99.
No, I mean there's been good stuff recently. It's not just WWE.
Right.
TNA has had a hot streak with the whole delete thing with the Hardys. You have New Japan, which is on fire every single year. You have the developmental territory of WWE NXT. You have Evolve Wrestling. You have, well, I don't know if I want to say WCPW because it's hit and miss. Because they can either be really good or they could be very cringeworthy. So
Well, in terms of that, I think what you're saying there is it's fixing itself. It's been bad for a long ass time, but it's fixing itself.
CM Punk made it relevant in 2011.
It's
It's
fixing
been it's
itself.
been it's been decent to it's been I would say bare minimum decent since 2011.
And I'm not even going to start on the what culture guys. I don't like them.
That's fair.
I like watching their videos, but when they started that, I'm just like, oh my god.
It's
It's
like I
like,
said, they can have some good moments like the Cody Rhodes Kurt Angle match, which I don't know has happened yet, but it will happen very soon. Um, but like I said, there can be some pretty cringy moments on WCPW. But you also have, the local federations around the country and all that. But man, it's been all right. CM Punk also got his ass handed to him in the UFC. That he did. But
I don't
last
understand the relevance to that, but okay.
he well, I mentioned CM Punk.
Right, right. No, I mean relevance of like CM Punk going to UFC and actually fighting. Okay?
Yeah,
He didn't do that as a
he
career
la- he landed a
until recently.
yeah he landed a couple punches. I mean, he
I
lasted
mean,
longer than most people could in the octagon, 2 minutes.
even at that point, I mean, I could just go into that forever. When it comes to like training, anybody who's had any major success in the UFC has been training for years, not 2 years, 4 years,
Yeah,
many years.
yeah, many years.
So in terms of that, I'm not surprised. Anyone who was surprised they lost, you're not really an MMA fan. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's just the way it goes.
But this is not a MMA podcast or a wrestling podcast.
That's
This is
because you challenged me.
well, it's only I'm right. It's only because I'm right. Well, this is Super Reset Brothers for September the what is this? 18th, 2016? Nope. It's the 15th.
18th. Wow.
18th. Yeah, I'm way off. 15th, September the 15th of 2016. I'm Tanner Larson. With me over there is the wrong person, Patrick Breeden. Patrick, how are you?
I'm gonna just strangle you. I swear.
It's only because technically I am right.
No.
By technicality, yes, I am correct on the whole argument. But we'll get all past that because there's actually some big news on video games, and that is Chris Metzen. He recently retired, not just from Blizzard, but the entire industry.
Yes.
And Patrick, you being a huge Blizzard fan, more so than I have ever been, all I know of Chris Metzen is he was pretty much everything Thrall was Blizzard, like his design, his voice, everything in every game, like Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Warcraft. He is Thrall. He is the embodiment of Thrall, basically. And I know that he did the design work for Bastion in Overwatch, but you know much more of him.
In terms of it, like when it comes to Blizzard and Chris Metzen, like any major thing that Blizzard's done since '96 and on, you could say Chris Metzen had a big hand in it. I mean, you could probably argue it even goes back further than that because when it comes to the Warcraft game and thinking about like the areas, the map of the entire world of Azeroth, he is the guy who sat down one day, took an ink pen, and drew the whole thing out, and then just handed it to him and said, "Guys, this is our world. This is what we have." So that's the kind of creative mind Chris Metzen was. He created just about every major character that people loved in some way. He may not have been the main person there, but I guarantee you there's some Chris Metzen in just about every major character. From Sarah Kerrigan in StarCraft to the lineup in in terms of Overwatch, pretty much everything you could think of. In my opinion, Chris Metzen is Blizzard.
Or
So it
was
shocks me.
Blizzard.
Well, that's the way I feel, though. He still is Blizzard. It's like a portion of the company is walking away. It's like the company just ripped its heart out and dropped it. Now, of course, it's not their fault he's choosing to retire. If I had a bunch of money in the bank and I didn't have to work, I probably wouldn't either. But it still sucks.
Yeah. So let's talk about Diablo specifically because I feel like he really helped make Diablo really a thing, a major thing in PC gaming. And why don't you explain what he's done for that franchise specifically?
Well, you would have to go back to the original Diablo game and
Yep.
start to get an understanding of what's going on there. Because, I mean, the story was there, and it was okay, but pretty much the way the game went is you run through the labyrinth, you fight Diablo, you kill Diablo. And, I mean, it started pretty bare bones, pretty simple. Diablo 2 is when they really started going into the story, talking about, Herodrum was a big thing that they brought up. The idea of, like, multiple bosses. So it wasn't just Diablo anymore. It was the Three Brothers of Destruction. And Baal, I mean, people to this day are still, like, playing Diablo 2, and they're doing Baal and Mephisto runs to try and get, like, the best gear for their characters in Diablo 2. So, that was a really creative idea, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with that, to sit down and say, here's the world we're going to flesh out in Diablo 2. Here's how we're going to expand upon it and make it a game that, people can continue to play. You don't just one and done this thing. And you could even see that as things go into Diablo 3 as well, because, I mean, they introduced multiple lords in that game. All sorts of different stuff there. So in terms of Diablo, he's the one who, oversaw a lot of the creation with Diablo 2 and made Deckard Cain a huge, huge player in the Diablo universe, whereas Deckard Cain was he was kind of a dude who just helped out in the first one. Again, the story was kind of bare bones, but they shifted it out, made Deckard Cain, like, the mainstay of the series, and that's why, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played Diablo 3, when Deckard Cain died in Diablo 3, that was, like, huge storytelling.
So, what else has he done for Diablo? I feel like that's just the bare bones of it. You're telling us the bare bones, just kind of like the ground level of what he's done for Diablo. Not just Blizzard, but Diablo itself.
Diablo itself, in terms of it, the full story with that, how Diablo came to be, how, they continue to vanquish him, the Angel Tyrael. So that's a huge piece of lore that people can look into and learn more about Tyrael and get a better understanding of why it's such a big thing that Tyrael decided to sacrifice his immortality in Diablo 3, another spoiler, sacrifice his immortality in Diablo 3 and come down to Earth to help the Nephilim. So that's a big story arc.
Okay. But I just want to get your opinion on this because we have 8 Mike Spam 8 in the chat saying that they didn't like Diablo 3 because it seemed way too easy and hurt the first two, which pretty much were their entire childhood. Is Diablo 3 a little bit more of a cakewalk than the previous 2 games?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay.
In terms of it, to go with what he's saying there, the reason why I would say Diablo 3 is a bit easier is because in 2 you had to do, like, better management of, like, potions, stamina potions, different things like that. Diablo 3, it's more of, shall we say, arcade style, where it's faster, more upbeat.
Okay.
Whereas with Diablo 2, you have to be better in terms of fleshing out a skill tree, better management of resources, different things like that that they really didn't bring into Diablo 3. But in terms of it, Chris Metzen had nothing to do with that part. Let's just get that out of the way.
But, man, Diablo, the whole franchise itself, has been a major part of Blizzard's history. But I think where most of Metzen's work obviously went into was Warcraft, and
Yes.
you know a lot about Warcraft, Patrick.
Oh yeah.
We need your knowledge to just kind of expand out. Like your brain just needs to puke information out right now.
Well, the biggest thing, first and foremost, is like I said, when it came down to it, and they were crafting, they were crafting Warcraft.
Ah!
Ha! They were trying to flesh it out and get this world, this huge expanded world, because the first Warcraft was kind of bare bones. In Warcraft 2, they wanted to make sure that they could really hit it and tell like an even bigger story, and build upon the characters they introduced in the first one. And that's when Chris Metzen, he said this in the documentary, he took just a pad and an ink pen and just started, scribbling out this world, this map, and said, guys, this is our world. This is it. This is what it's going to be. That's laying the groundwork for World of Warcraft. And, pretty much everything that they've done from that point on, he has been the guy to help do that. In terms of, like, the story arcs, because there's too much lore for me to tell you about everything right now. From, like, with the current expansion, it's worth
We could be
talking
here
about.
for hours.
Oh, absolutely. Like talking about Illidan Stormrage, since this is like the big one that's going on right now, the big expansion. So you can't talk about the current expansion without mentioning Illidan. So Chris had, I'm sure he oversaw that the creation of that character, the creation of course Thrall. Thrall's huge.
Yep.
In terms of it, the leaders in the Alliance, the leaders in the Horde, all of this has been just so much stuff that he has created. So much he's done for that series in terms of Warcraft, all the way up to, I'd say, like, the biggest villain ever in Warcraft, aside from Illidan, because I know this is debatable. Most people would say right away, Illidan is the biggest villain. Maybe.
King?
I say the Lich King.
Okay.
So that was a really, good storytelling element that they helped craft and create there. But at the same time, and I've said this before, they kind of ripped off Star Wars. Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit. Because that was that was the way I got done. My wife, ex-wife, whatever. Anyway, that's how I got her to watch Star Wars. Because she was playing that, and she was like, oh, the Lich King, the Lich King, the Lich King. And I was like, yeah, they kind of ripped off Star Wars. The Lich King is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And she started watching Star Wars movies. She's like, you're right. I know I'm right.
He's right about one thing. But let's go back to Thrall here. Because Thrall is a very major portion of Warcraft. And I think Blizzard, because you see him, as I said earlier, in Heroes of the Storm and in Hearthstone. So for those who are not familiar, who is Thrall and what does he do?
Who is your daddy?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? Who is Thrall?
Okay, so with Thrall, which, I mean, this is a story that Chris fleshed out himself. Thrall was, you're going to have to forgive me, I'm blanking on names here with the lore, but basically, he was the son of the leader of the Frostwolf clan. Mm-hmm. Now, he was found and raised by humans for the most part, but the thing is, he was eventually captured and forced to be a gladiator. Well, he broke out and escaped as a gladiator and decided to, try and rebuild this horde, which is what the orcs and everything were calling themselves at the time, rebuild this horde into, a faction that can be a warring faction, but to try and be peaceful and live just like the humans. So he was the guy that said, hey, less conquer, more being regular people. So with the help of some other people, he founded Orgrimmar, which is the capital of the Horde. Mm-hmm. Turns out he brought them together, and in terms of great turmoil, for anybody who's played World of Warcraft, you know this to be true. There were quite a few times where, it looked like it was going to be all-out war, Alliance and Horde just tearing into each other, and Thrall was usually the cool-headed guy to keep this from happening. So he was pretty integral in making sure that stayed together. Now, as you go into Cataclysm, that expansion, he steps back. He decides to no longer be War Chief because he wants to be a shaman. And he wants to help. I can't remember the name of the circle he joins, but he wants to help them. He wants to help heal the world as Deathwing is tearing it apart. So that's what he decided to do. Join them, do what he seemed considered to be the right thing, and try to heal the world. Left Garrosh Hellscream in charge of the Horde, which was not the best of choices because Garrosh Hellscream is a little insane.
Yeah.
So that turned into be a big problem. Garrosh did some really awful things, and then eventually, in the last expansion, there was a showdown between the two. And in the Horde, there is, again, the lore is blinking, I can't remember the name of it, but there is a fight with the choice of one weapon that two guys can do if one wants to challenge the leader and become the leader. So, in terms of that, they agreed that they're going to have this fight, right? It's going to be Thrall versus Garrosh. One weapon, both of them. This is the part where I think some people start to not love Thrall as much, because Thrall cheated. He cheated.
He cheated.
He cheated to win the fight. In terms of it, he was fighting Garrosh. He has the Doom Hammer, which is, his big hammer weapon he has. He's facing off against Garrosh. And, okay, one weapon per side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Thrall uses his elemental powers as a shaman to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
He encases him in stone and then calls down a bolt of lightning to fry Garrosh and kill him. So he cheats. I don't know if anybody on the Horde side is aware that he cheated, but he did.
You know what the greats say, though. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
So that's like the big thing going on right now. Like, Thrall's helping a little bit here and there in the current expansion, but I think like the shock value going on with that character right now is you kind of wonder how far Thrall is willing to go to maintain peace and prosperity in the world. He's willing to cheat and kill people to do that.
So here's a question for you then, with the departure of Chris Metzen, who has pretty much everything to do with Thrall. Are they going to write off Thrall, or like get rid of him in some sorts, or retire the character?
No, that's a really cool thing that nobody reported this, and he said so on his Twitter account. He's going to stick around and keep voicing his characters.
Oh, okay. So I thought he was retiring altogether with even voice acting. So
No.
that's kind of a cool little tidbit that I did not know about.
Yeah, he said so on his Twitter. He's going to
Okay.
keep voicing Thrall and all the other characters he helps out with. Because not a lot of people know this, but the peons on the Horde side, when you're playing the Warcraft RTS games, that's him too.
Ah, yes.
They're saying work, work, and all that. Yeah, that's him.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
So,
So,
yeah.
wow. Wow. All right, then. Well, there goes that whole discussion.
No,
But,
he's going to stick around, and I think that's great because in terms of it, he is super passionate when it comes to the characters he voices and everything. Because in terms of that's how he opens up every single BlizzCon. Because he just comes out, and then that thundering roar he does, he yells, "Horde, let me hear you!" And everybody's like, "Ah!"
Ah.
Yeah, that's what they do. They just go, "Ah!" He's like, "Damn, that sucks." And then he leaves. No, that's not what happened. But he is that thundering voice that opens up BlizzCon every year. So we got to keep hearing that.
So it's interesting now, with the release of Overwatch. There is lore to it, but there isn't much of it, and the game itself is not canon to anything going on in the lore. Because otherwise, holy cow, we'd have a lot of other stuff to talk about. But Chris Metzen had a lot to do with Overwatch, I think, and as I said, he came up with the idea of Bastion, and Bastion's story is that he was left behind in the woods during the fight of the Omnics, and he comes back to life, or he gets rebooted in some sense, and he hears like the sound of a woodpecker. He thinks it's He thinks it's gunfire, and then he starts rattling off of the forest. But his prime directive is to go to this city, which I'm believing to be Numbani, but that could be something else. I believe it's Numbani, but it could be again another city like Lijiang Tower or something like that. But he goes into this open field. He gets some data information from a fallen Omnic, which they were to pretty much wipe out the entire human race and, have the Omnics be the master race of some sorts.
Right.
But he has like this change of heart for whatever reason, and he's like all about nature and all this stuff. So, with that being said, Bastion is a interesting character instead of just being a sitting turret where he just wipes out your entire team in the game. So Bastion has interesting lore.
Yeah,
But-
isn't it amazing that everybody like hated that character when the game first came out? 'Cause
and
they
then
thought
the
he was
last Bastion came out, and then
yeah, now everybody's like
God.
Bastion. We love you.
Bastion, so great. And then like they say he's great until like they get killed by him. It's like
Oh yeah,
bastard.
until he's like in the corner doing that, and then they're like, yeah, "Fuck you! I never liked you." Yeah, you did, you liar.
So yeah, Metzen had a lot to do with Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
But mostly it was Bastion in my recollection. But I'm sure you
Did
have
you
information.
did you ever get a chance to see him with the reveal of Overwatch?
No, I did not.
That is something you need to see because in terms of it, it's amazing because he came out and like he started talking about this new property they have and this new thing they're going to show, and he seemed like he was legitimately concerned. And I was just like, you're pulling our leg. It's just going to be like an expansion or something. But no, it was right then and there. They showed Overwatch, and like it was just a clip. It was the opening clip with like the kids and Tracer and everything's there. That
yep.
one.
Yep.
And like everybody started cheering and clapping, and he just looked astonished, like, I can't believe it. This is great. And he just soaked that in. It was just like, okay, there is a video game that comes with this. And then started talking about the game, showed a few clips, and people got even like more unglued. And he just stood there like, looked like he was about ready to burst into tears. He was so happy.
Yeah.
So
You could definitely tell that Overwatch was one of his major projects and that he really wanted it to get off the ground.
So
But
yeah,
I
food for
believe
thought.
I believe that Overwatch was supposed to be a movie in the beginning.
Could have been.
Could have been.
I know in terms of it by the way he acted when they were revealing it, he was legitimately afraid that people were going to shit on it.
Yeah, but this is Blizzard we're talking about. Blizzard
Yeah.
makes gold. They make literal gold with their games.
That's what they do.
So I think the reason that people didn't like shit on it was, they made Warcraft. It's great. They made Hearthstone. It's great. They made StarCraft and StarCraft 2. They're fantastic games.
Absolutely.
Heroes of the Storm. So right now their batting average is pretty goddamn good, where people have to assume, okay, they're gonna knock it out of the park with this too, and they do, and they did.
They did. It's funny because I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about this because this actually happened on our old podcast back when it was still the reset button and we were talking about that news.
Oh Lord.
I mentioned that some people thought it was going to be the TF2 killer, and you just like, I don't want to hear that. That's a ridiculous comparison. It can't be that good. It can't be.
Yeah, back then, I feel like that was a justifiable claim because we've heard time and over again, this is the TF2 killer, this is the TF2 killer, and how many times has that panned out? It was a garbage claim that nobody had any merit to. And now
It's just funny that it's such a dichotomy at that point where like back then, no, not even happening, and I was
not
just
even
like,
close, because it
and
was
I was just like, I think it can happen.
absolutely
And now we're both standing here saying we know it can happen. It already has happened.
yeah, because most people have migrated from TF2 if they got tired of TF2 to Overwatch. And
Absolutely.
TF2 is really trying to keep up and trying to stay relevant because they introduced a new mode that the community there says sucks a lot, and that's bad news for TF2. So TF2 might be on its last legs. So Overwatch may be the definitive TF2 killer.
That's
And
why I said, how
that's
many times has that panned out? Once.
once and
Overwatch did it.
right fucking now here. Because how many times have we heard TF2 killer in the past before Overwatch?
Yeah, that's true.
Countless amounts of times where if somebody said it, you wouldn't even believe them. You would laugh in their face.
Yeah,
And
because
I
like,
told you, as you said, I told you that that was garbage. That was a horrible claim to make with this.
oh, I agree,
Because
it was.
if you were to say that Overwatch is going to be the TF2 killer, it's an empty phrase. It's like, oh, you just put the final nail in the coffin for Overwatch. Well, here we are today, and Overwatch is one of the most played games worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into this really quick because in terms that we're talking about the comparison of TF2, which as he said here, feels like an arena shooter versus Overwatch that feels more like a MOBA because you have an attack and defense, and for the most part that's true because with TF2 it's a capture the flag kind of thing with the intelligence for the most part.
No, they also have control points.
They have control points, right?
TF2 and Overwatch can be compared because they play very similarly.
Well, not only that, the other
They have
reason.
classes. That, like, it's
There
just
you
that,
go.
It's just that, you know, it's 9 different classes in TF2. They're not like characters, they're classes. And
Right.
they have to be treated as classes. Whereas there are 4 different classes and 22 different heroes, maybe 23 with
And going to increase, I guarantee it.
it's going to increase, absolutely, but with the rumor of Sombra right now, we don't know if that's going to be 23 yet. We don't know if it's going to be 23 yet. We know it's 22. That's a definitive number, but it's 5. It's about 4 or 5 on. Well, actually, no. It's more like 5 or 6. These 4 classes: offense, defense, tank, and support. Those are the
Right.
4 classes, but each hero in the class plays a little bit differently. That's where the MOBA standpoint is, and that's what makes Overwatch just a little bit better than TF2 because TF2 you have to play a specific class and you have to play that role correctly, whereas
Right.
Overwatch, like the way you play the game is similar with TF2 and Overwatch, where you have to get to the control point. The only difference is TF2 has a capture the flag mode. That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that would be the more popular of the two. But you are correct; it does have that as well.
Yeah,
I would say in both games you have to know how to play your class
absolutely.
because if you don't know what you're doing in Overwatch and you just pick Tracer and defense, I hate you. That's how that ends. I hate
Yeah.
you. I hate you.
Let's compare the two here. Tracer is comparable to Scout, where
Yes.
not very much health, can do damage when they want to, or when they can, basically.
That's
But
why I
they're-
picked on Screw Attack with that death battle because they're like Tracer versus Scout, and I'm like, how original!
Yeah,
Good job, guys.
original. But they are like the most easily comparable to heroes. Or
I mean,
classes.
they already had a rap battle between the two beforehand.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go with this then. Let's go with Roadhog and the Heavy. The Heavy, they have to pretty much be the stoppable. Like they have to be the unstoppable force of the team.
Well, I mean, not even that. Roadhog's Q is like heavy.
Yeah, Roadhog's Q is basically heavy with an Uber. That's literally it. But the difference between that is if a heavy is Ubered, they're unstoppable. They cannot be killed at any point. They're invincible.
Right.
But with Roadhog, you can easily kill him. Like, even, like he's in mid ult for Roadhog, he is a sitting duck. Where if
Yeah.
you have a Reinhardt or a Diva, like eating up his bullets, you can take him out so easily. But those are the two comparable traits with that. And then there's also some more personality that's comparable with Reinhardt and the Heavy, where
Right.
Heavy is Russian and Reinhardt is German, but they're both like big, lovable lugs kind of personality. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
they're very comedic
Yeah.
with their lines.
Well,
Uh,
that's the other big comparison between the two games too.
is the
TF2,
personalities.
right? It's not just because TF2 is a good game, because it is. But I would say the reason why it continued to be as popular as it did is because the personality of the characters that then led to memes.
Here's another thing with that, the comparison between TF2 and Overwatch. The engineer, one of the more popular classes and one of the more like mainstays you need on a team is the engineer, because you have the dispenser, you have the teleporter entrance and exit, and you also have the sentry.
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard did the smartest thing that they could possible, and they made the engineer two different characters in
Yes.
Overwatch, Torbjorn and Symmetra. So here's where these two compare basically. Symmetra has 6 mini turrets. The
Yep.
engineer has 1 mini sentry turret available with alongside the big sentry, but they also have a teleporter. So you can lay down a teleporter as Symmetra, you can lay down a teleporter as the engineer. Then there's Torbjorn, who has a much larger sentry, much harder to destroy, but he has no teleporter. But he also has armor, and he has to pick
Yeah, he
up
can dispense
scrap.
armor,
Yeah,
so he's an armor dispensary.
but there's also another difference between the two, where Torbjorn can fix his turret endlessly with no scrap whatsoever. He can just hit that hammer on there and just waltz away with the turret just fine and dandy. And he also
Right.
has a powered up turret as well. And the engineer, he needs scrap to rebuild his turrets and rebuild like all of his shit. So that's where the difference is. It's much harder to play engineer, in my opinion, than it is
Oh,
to
yeah.
play Torbjorn. But
Oh,
Torbjorn is
Torbjorn
more
is-
powerful.
And Torbjorn, depending on the map, is like easy mode. You just slap a turret wherever you want to, go in the molten core, and then people die. It's that simple.
Pretty much.
And he sounds like a dwarf from Warcraft, so I
Pretty
love
much.
the guy.
Oh goodness, but yeah, it's going back to your original point. Overwatch is the TF2 killer, and you called it, I think, 3 years ago.
Well, it wasn't my words. Let's not jump to that one. That was not me. I read that other people were saying that, and I was like, I can see it. And that's why I brought that up.
Okay.
And in terms of it, I mean, I fully believed if. Okay, here's the way I'll put it to you. For anybody listening, watching, whatever. If Blizzard decides they're going to go into a genre and kill a game, that game is killed. It's that simple. I mean, I could be wrong on this, but most of the time, well, pretty much all the time at this point, they step into an area, they rock it. In terms of it, Hearthstone, let's consider that. Hearthstone is beating Magic the Gathering in terms of digital online play.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just tearing it apart to the point where Magic is ripping off Hearthstone with their new game that they just put out on Steam that has a structure very similar to Hearthstone and everything else. Yeah, I mean, they are beating Magic the Gathering at its own game. So there's that. Of course, TF2 killer. It's beating TF2 at its own game. In terms of it, I know League of Legends is still a huge thing, but I really do think Heroes of the Storm has put a major dent into the MOBA area.
Here's the thing with Overwatch too. That's better than TF2. They did the loot crate system much better than TF2. Like, yeah, TF2 is free to
Oh,
play.
I agree.
TF2 is free to play and they have to make their money somehow. I understand that. But the way that they put out the loot crates in Overwatch, whether you get them for free or you pay for them, it's a much better system. It is so much better by far and away. You get 4 items as opposed to 1 and you hope it's rare, otherwise it's not worth anything.
Oh, you don't want hats forever?
Oh my god. Lord. Lord have mercy.
What, you don't want more hats?
No, I want skins, I want sprays, I want voice lines, I want, I want more stuff from that.
Yeah, I'll even go so far as to say I'm not the biggest fan of the loot crate system in Overwatch
Oh, it's not perfect. It's not
because in
perfect,
terms
but it's
of it,
better than TF2.
yeah, you're never gonna get the really good skins. You're never gonna like in terms of getting gold for it to get the good skins. Like you can maybe afford one, but you're gonna have to play like this game all the goddamn time to get any other major skins. But it's still better than the TF2 system. You could walk up and be like, "What's this?" Somebody could show you the system and be like, "That's a pile of shit." It's still better than the TF2 system.
I will. Let's go back for just a moment. 8 Mike Spam 8 in the chat says that Dota 2 and League of Legends are still the two biggest esports in the world right now, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. Going back to your comparison with Heroes of the Storm compared to League of Legends, I would agree with him on that. League of Legends ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Same thing with Dota. Dota 2 had like one of the largest esports prize pools recently.
Right. I know.
I don't
in terms
see
of
that going
those
away.
two. Well, I'll say in terms of that one, never say never. I know that those two are.
I'm not saying never. It's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah,
And
those
it's probably
two
going to
I
outlast
know.
Heroes of the Storm.
I don't know about that.
Uh,
I don't know about that.
I,
But
I would
in
say
terms
Dota
of
2
it,
is going to outlast.
I know that those two are beating Here's the Storm right now. That's why I said put a dent in it. Because in terms of it, that's the one area that they are not dominating right now.
Okay.
And I'm sure they know this, which is why they keep, doing events and introducing new characters and everything else. They just introduced 2 new characters with the new campaign and everything. I mean, they are going to keep working at it until they make a significant dent. That I can promise you. They haven't won, but they're going to keep trying.
They're going to keep trying, but I don't know if they're ever going to overtake them.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
I'm
Or
interested.
we'll have to see in like 3 years' time, though, or like 5 years' time. It's going to
I just don't want to see like them and Gabe Newell fight because then I'll cry.
Oh, that'd be a sad fight.
That'd be like watching your parents and be like, "No, stop."
Whoa. Whoa. I don't know. It's going a little too personal, a little too far. Oh, goodness. But
I didn't tell you that Gabe Newell's my dad.
shut up. That's not true at all. But yeah, it's going back to the original point where Chris Metzen helped make all of this possible.
Yeah,
Where we're talking about Overwatch and where we're talking about Heroes of the Storm and World of Warcraft and Hearthstone, he is one of the key components that made all this possible, and he is retiring from the industry, with the exception of voice acting. So
yeah. He's still
I
going to do
will-
voice acting.
I will congratulate him on a well-earned, successful career, and I hope he enjoys the retirement.
Oh yeah, I mean the guy has done everything he could ask to do in the industry, and he's done wonderful things. I kind of wondered if it was going to go this direction. More spoilers, guys. So my apologies here, but he also voices Varian Wren, which is the leader
yes.
of the Alliance. Varian Wren died in the new expansion. He's dead. And I was thinking, wow, okay, so Thrall has stepped off from being the war chief of the Horde, and Varian Wren's dying. And then this happens.
It was only a matter of time.
Only
Everybody-
a matter of time.
Everybody loses to Father Time in the end. He is undefeated. But with all that set aside, I think it's a good tone to end Super Reset Brothers on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So I agree in terms that the one thing I would say for anybody who likes the whole Chris Metzen talk and they're a fan, I would say get BlizzCon this year because even though he's retiring, I fully predict he's going to be there.
he's absolutely going to be there.
I think he's still going to be there, and he's still going to open it up with that roar of his, that wonderful, beautiful roar.
Why would he not be at BlizzCon? Give me an answer on that. Why would he not be at BlizzCon?
Because he's dead serious about retiring. He's out the door now.
Well, obviously, but
That's
he's
the
still-
only explanation, but I don't buy it. In terms of it, I think this year, in terms of it, we're going to see the last thing that Metzen's worked on. I don't think Legion's the last thing at all.
I think it might be Sombra.
I think in terms of it, it's a fitting time, especially since Chris is walking out the door. Would it not be completely fitting, everyone and Blizzard fans, if we were treated to Warcraft 4? It all came around and came to an end.
Oh shit. Are you putting are you putting your foot down on this?
I am making this prediction.
All right.
Chris Metzen called it quits because he finished Warcraft 4 and said, I have nothing left to give.
Well, if that turns out to be the case, you heard it here first. Warcraft 4. Patrick, that's your prediction. I'm gonna say that the last thing he worked on was probably gonna be Sombra, because that's been a big tease for Overwatch. But one of us may be right. We may be both wrong. That's a very good chance that we'll probably both be wrong. And that might actually be a first where we're wrong on something.
Yeah.
Predictions. Because we've been hitting a pretty good batting average on predictions.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Before, like, somebody just comes by with this and they're just like, oh, these two nerds, they don't know what they're talking about. Actually, when it came, the biggest prediction that we got right is exactly how the new Star Fox plays. We predicted the gameplay for Star Fox Zero before anybody played Star Fox Zero.
Well, speaking of spaceships, yes, we do like spaceships. But my goodness. I also predicted that The Last Guardian was going to be at E3.
You did.
And before I get too big of an ego, that was pretty much a shot in the dark bullshit call.
Yeah.
Because I was half joking, like, oh yeah, it's going to be there.
Yeah, I remember that, because then we were just like, we were doing the news, and that happened, and you're like, what did I say? What did I say? I'm like,
That's where the ego gets. All right, but we got to hit on out of here. We have run over for quite some time.
We have to play PlayStation All-Stars.
You have to play PlayStation All-Stars. I have to do laundry, go to bed.
And play PlayStation All-Stars.
Old. So this has been Super Reset Brothers for September the 15th of 2016. I'm Tanner Larson.
And I am Patrick Bureden.
And Chris Metzen, we wish you well in your retirement. Patrick wants Warcraft 4. Are you going to give it to him?
I love you, Chris. Give it to me.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Do not edit that in any way.
No, I'm not going to.
Put it in exactly.
Oh, I'm
I love
going.
you, Chris. Give it to me.
Out of context. Out of context. Such a weird way to end that show. What the hell?
Well, no. It worked in both ways, because you said, I want Warcraft 4.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I want Warcraft 4, and I said, I love you, Chris. Give it to me. Which way could it go? Who knows?
You know how people are going to take that, though.
Yes. I assume that's how people are taking it right now. Because people are watching us.
On the internet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just so nonchalant about it right now. Goodness.
No, if you've never seen this show before, you don't know what the hell you're missing.
But going back to predictions, like I said, I predicted Last Guardian. We predicted Star Fox Zero. What else has there been? Why did Zanbot? Why do we still have Zanbot if they just kick people?
Because we never fucking disabled it. Zanbot, you dick.
Damn it, Zanbot.
Zanbot's just like riding around just striking everybody down. Dude, there's been enough bloodshed.
Zanbot bans for excessive caps dance game.
Give it to me hard. No, no. Because then we just know which way I'm going, and then it's just, it's not funny anymore.
What if you mean hard mode? What if you just want a really difficult game?
It's really difficult Warcraft 4.
Yeah!
Just give it to me raw, Chris. I need to bleed.
Okay, now you're just being obvious.
Whoa! Let's bring it down. But in terms of our predictions, we mentioned StarCraft. We were right. What? StarCraft? What the fuck? Star Fox.
Star Fox. Not Star.
And
nobody.
yeah, we predicted that StarCraft existed. Wow. Star Fox. We nailed that on the head. I would argue that was kind of that was kind of obvious, but at the same time, it wasn't out there, and we said it, so we're gonna go with it.
Did we? I don't know if Killer Instinct if the Xbox One thing was before our podcast. I think it was. Like that.
Yeah,
It's one review.
we didn't predict Killer Instinct. Oh, I know one thing I said.
What?
This year at E3, Unreal Tournament would come back. Not Unreal Tournament, but Quake would come back.
Oh yeah, Quake. I was
I
about to
said that
say
on
you
here.
didn't say Unreal Tournament.
No, I said Quake, and it did.
Um, I'm trying to think of some ones I got wrong. I think I said that Rare was gonna have something big. I was kind of
Yeah.
right.
I think we both predicted Rare was going to have something big, and it's just like, here's a pirate game.
It's a pirate game. We don't know if that's going to be true yet or not because we haven't seen like anyone else play the game other than people at E3.
It's just like, oh my god. You had this like backwards library, like all this stuff just hanging out in the back. You could make anything you want, and it's like, pirate game? Seriously?
I think we haven't discussed a new Unreal Tournament yet.
You're talking about the free one? Have you discussed the new Unreal Tournament? I'm in love with it. Are you talking about the free one that you can play right
I
now?
think he's talking about the free one. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't seen anything else outside of Unreal Tournament. But I will tell you what I am excited for. I'm excited for Gears of War 4.
Yeah, Gears of
I'm
4
probably
is
going to buy that day one.
Gears of
because
4.
I am-
I'm pumped about that.
I am a huge Gears of War fan. Like, everything about Gears of War, I am, knowledgeable about, and it's really, really awesome franchise. Going from Gears of War 1 back in 2006 when I played it with my friends back in the movie theater, going to Gears of War 2 where I got the limited edition, and all my friends were jealous because I had the Golden Lancer. Some of them got the Golden Hammerverse, but, it is what it is there. I did better in Gears 2 than I did in Gears 1. But then again, they had like a year and a half of, playing the game more than I have. But I held my own. Gears of War 3 was a little bit of a mess, but I'm not, too upset about it. It was an alright game. Gears of War
I
3
like
was
the
an
horde
alright.
mode.
Horde mode was really fun.
Oh, I love
that
that.
changed a lot about the industry.
Yeah, I
That-
mean, like,
that
I
was-
don't give a damn about the story or the online play or anything like that. Just give me horde mode and I'm happy.
Horde mode was a brand new thing that I didn't think that there was anything going to be brand new in games, and that mode delivered a lot. It was fantastic. Let's see.
In terms of the new Unreal Tournament, I think I mentioned it a few times on here, but yeah, I played it. It's fantastic. It's old school UT. It's got like some different motion actions that weren't in there before, like the slide and whatnot. But yeah, it's like old school UT all the way. And you're right. In terms of it, Doom single player was awesome. I couldn't ask for anything better. But Doom multiplayer, yeah,
Left much to be desired.
yeah, I could ask for more out of that, and you're probably right. The new Unreal Tournament is just going to kick fucking ass. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna like blow Doom's like single player out of the water, but it's
No.
You can
I'm not
definitely-
expecting that.
you can definitely you can easily do better than Doom's multiplayer.
But anybody, like, in the early 2000s, if you were playing Unreal Tournament before, like, Unreal Tournament 2003 or anything like that, I'm talking about old school UT. That's what you want, and that's what, that's what we're getting with it. It's going to be awesome.
You know what my favorite Unreal Tournament was? 3. Unreal Tournament 3 was awesome. That was a really good experience with Unreal Tournament, and I'm kind of sad that, it didn't get as big of a reception as I thought it was going to get.
Yeah.
Because it's such
And-
a well done game.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I can't really think of an Unreal Tournament game that came out and it was like, yeah, this thing is just fucking terrible. I can't think of one where I'd really say that. So that's a good thing. But in terms of it, like, when I was going to college the first time, in early 2000s, that
Showing your
game,
age.
I don't care. Fuck it. I don't give a damn. Yeah, early 2000s is when I graduated. So 2002 I graduated, started college 2003. and there were 3 games that like fucked me up in terms of college. It just did not go well at all. Unreal Tournament, Counter-Strike, and Mech Assault.
Mech Assault, really?
Oh, you could have put an IV in me for Mech Assault, and I would have been fine.
Damn.
I played it that much.
Damn.
I played it so damn much, like, you know the dumb thing, like, clans didn't exist during, like, the early Xbox days and all that
No.
shit, but people still had it. Yeah, it was that kind of play. Like,
Oh.
it was time to turn it off and go to bed when the sun was rising.
Oh, my goodness.
So you get maybe an hour's sleep and then you go to class and you try to learn something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But, let's see. What else is there? It was the exact story of the first game, yeah, but, you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed
I
it.
forgave it.
I forgave it. Titanfall 2. Just to kind of go off one more thing before we kind of wrap up the stream. Titanfall 2, I predict, is not going to do very well. In fact, we may see it's going to be deja vu with Titanfall 2. I'm a poet and I
Yeah.
don't know it. Where
Like, I don't know what Respawn's problem is.
I-
These guys did, like, Call of Duty for so long, and they seem to have that formula down. Then they go and make their own studio, and they fucking goof shit everything up.
and I'm not saying that I want Titanfall 2 to fail. I want this game to succeed. I want to be wrong. Like,
I didn't
prove
have
me
a problem
wrong.
with the first Titanfall. I legitimately did not have, like, major beef with it, except, like, it did have some flaws.
Yeah.
And people took it harder than I did, and they were like, fuck this game, we'll go play something else.
Yeah.
And it just died. So if they haven't learned from their mistakes, and even a sliver of those problems appear in Titanfall 2, just shoot it. Just shoot the game. It's over.
I don't know if it's going to be good if they release it for free. Like, a free game does not equal, like, automatic great, in my opinion. Where, I mean, case in point, have you seen the mobile market? With Titanfall 2, they need to learn from their mistakes, Titanfall 1, and improve upon them. If they
Yeah.
don't improve anything, and it's just the same game, only with a 2 at the end, it's going to be
Yeah,
dead
like-
within. It's going to be dead within a month.
Like, we need more Titans. That was the big issue from the last game.
Oh.
And it was absolutely true. We need more Titans. Speaking of Mech Assault, since I brought that up, and that game was such a humongous fucking success on Xbox, go look at all the choices you had in terms of mechs on Mech Assault, and then look at Titanfall, a game that is way newer, way improved in terms of, like, gameplay and everything, and then ask yourself, what the fuck? That's a valid question. Because in terms of it, the choices you get in terms of Titanfall were just awful.
Yeah, I
Because there
played.
barely were any.
I played a little bit of Evolve. Was not particularly impressed with it, to be honest.
I remember when I was still writing for Screw Attack News, and like some of that stuff came out about like the DLC with Evolve and everything else, and I was
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
oh hell no!
Ugh.
I stayed
that was a
very
major,
far
that
away
was a,
from that.
That was a major botch with Evolve and what happened with that game. But yeah, that's why Evolve kind of dropped off from the face of the earth for the most part. But I think it's getting kind of late over here. We will go ahead and wrap up the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for stopping by. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Glad we could hang out after and just chat games a little bit, because that's what we like to do. We
Absolutely.
like video games.
Yeah.
We like video games. Don't tell anybody. Okay, thanks.
Do you have to do that in that kind of voice?
Maybe.
Okay.
Okay. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So we're good. Okay. See you next week.